Minnesota. But look, man, Cal won. The Giants didn't win. The Niners didn't win. It's rough around these parts. It's rough. What went wrong yesterday in Minnesota as they lose 23-17, their first loss of the season? We're going to recap it all. Good morning to everybody out there, especially our friends at Floyd Water Plumbing and Trade. You know, if you're going to call it to the roast, you better bring it. Because if you don't, you'll get flushed like Yogi. You'll be flushed. And it'll be brought to you by Floyd Water Plumbing and Trade. So there's so many elements to this football game. That's what's beautiful. Baldy and B tomorrow. We're breaking down with Baldy tomorrow at 7:30 like we always do. But for today, it's your show. It's all the guests. It's all the callers. So, Shasky, I know number one on your list is clock management, situational football, third downs. My number one aspect is the money down. You got to win the money downs. That's how you cash in on wins. 2 of 10 for the 49ers on third down. Vikings go 7-12. That's not good. That's not good at all.
The reason why I'm so harsh on the clock management stuff is because you were shockingly in a position to be in that game. You gave up basically a 99-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
You got a punt blocked. You muffed a punt, and you turned the ball over on a short side multiple times, right? So to me, you had no business being in that game. But there are procedural things as a head coach that put your team in a better opportunity. You probably weren't going to win the game, right? Let's just call it. You probably, even if you nail all these things, it is a long shot. But when you don't understand the math, to me, it's almost inexcusable with all of the different, advanced analytics, spreadsheets, laminated sheets. It's in front of you. Now, Shanahan has done a great job doubling up. We score right before half. We get the ball after half. Where I am the most critical when it comes to Shanahan's clock management is when they're trailing. He does not understand there's a sense of urgency. So he didn't go for 2, which mind-boggling. He didn't go for 2 when they scored that touchdown, given how few possessions were left in that game. Fine. You didn't get any of the stops. You had to burn the 2 timeouts, which you didn't have a third one. Why? Because you wasted it in the third quarter on a delay of game penalty, right? 2 plays before you just converted on 2nd and 17, which is crazy to me. And so then you don't kick the field goal to give yourself an opportunity to get the ball back on the other side of the 2-minute warning. So there's 5 mistakes in the fourth quarter procedurally. Belichick didn't lose games mathematically, right? And why did Andy Reid get criticized for so long? Because there were certain clock situational management that a 12-year-old playing Madden understands. And that's why, to me, it's hey, look, if it was year 2 or year 3, I'd be a little more lenient. It's year 8, Shanahan. Come on.
Year 8 of the Shanahan era. It's not getting off to a good start here with the loss to the Minnesota Vikings. I chalk it up to, and look, I thought this was a trap game. You guys laugh at me all the time about that stuff, but short week, Monday Night Football, going to Minnesota for their home opener. I don't take those things lightly. I don't take that building lightly. Playing in Minnesota with that horde and they're going crazy, that's a tough place to win. It really is. And they had a lot to prove. Nobody was talking about Minnesota all week long. Even Justin Jefferson, he said it. He goes, no disrespect to Garrett Wilson, but I'm no Garrett Wilson. I'm Justin Jefferson, Jay Jetta, and I'm a problem. He was a problem.
I hate doing this because this isn't there are hundreds of receivers in the league who fall short. Justin Jefferson is so far and above the best wide receiver in the game. And they bottled, outside of the 99-yard touchdown, they did a good job bottling him up, I guess, to some degree. But he got hurt. He got hurt and walked off the field and had 133 yards on 4 catches.
Dude, he fewest games and 400 career receptions all time. This list, Michael Thompson took 56 games. Michael Thomas, excuse me.
The Saints
Odell
receiver,
Beckham,
yeah.
Yep. Odell Beckham Jr., 61 games.
That's surprising.
Yep. Justin Jefferson, third on the list with 62 games. Jarvis Landry, 64. Julio Jones, 64. So he's just setting records every single Sunday. He's the youngest to do this, the youngest to do this, the quickest to do that, quickest to do this. And he was quick to be alerted that, they have George Odell play press man on me on a 97-yard touchdown. Huh. So when I'm looking at Nick Sorensen and Shanahan, when it comes to Shanahan, this thought did come through my mind yesterday late in the game. With the clock management stuff, the urgency, the lack of urgency, I should say, the situational football, the coming out just throwing the ball 3 straight times was kind of weird. Wasn't a Shanahan type of game. I wonder if he has too much on his plate right now. Play calling. You got a new defensive coordinator who's a rookie. You have Brendan Staley in the building. You got to deal with all these contracts. You got to deal with negotiations. You got to be in a room for that. You got to run upstairs to tell John Lynch, hey, did you trade Ayuk? We may want to pause on that. He's in my office right now. Maybe Shanahan has a little too much on his plate right now, but we'll see. Again, this week 2, we're going to overreact to a damn football game. I think overall the Niners will be fine, but there are some warning signs there. Boy, you can't get off the field on third down. You got all these good DBs, best secondary you've had in years. Can't get off the field on third down. The pass rush, again, the front 4, this is a concern.
You couldn't get a stop. When the game was on the line at the end, you needed a stop. There was no T.J. Hockenson who didn't play, no Jordan Addison who didn't play, okay? Aaron Jones came off the field with an oblique injury because he got hit so hard by Fred Warner, and Justin Jefferson was dealing with some knee, ankle, leg thing, okay?
I mean,
Sam Darnold, with no weapons, had multiple third down dimes in your face, and you couldn't stop it. That's a tough one to watch.
Well, they got dominated yesterday, but the warning signs is things look clunky. The run game was fine for the most part, but pass protection. And before we get out to the lines, I want to read the 6 from the Xfinity Mobile text line. Xfinity Mobile text line, he makes a great point here from the 415. To me, the game went south because the offensive line couldn't identify and neutralize the pressure packages of the Vikings front 7. Purdy was sacked 6 times and pressured another 13. That's 20 plays. 415, you're onto something. They couldn't identify the free rushers. They couldn't identify the blitz packages. Brian Flores was a step ahead of Kyle Shanahan and just mucked up the game. He gave Purdy so many different looks to the point after the game, Purdy walked up the floor and said, man, that scheme is crazy. Now, to me, that's showing a little too much respect for Brian Flores, and Flores just kind of shook his head and walked off. But in his mind, he's thinking, if I see them down the line, I've got Purdy in my pocket. The schemes are too crazy for him. I wish he wouldn't even say, hey, good game, Brian Flores. Now I'm nitpicking. It's a small thing here. But those coaches in the locker room are thinking, and those players are thinking, that's 2 years in a row we befuddled Brock Purdy. And we picked him off how many times in the last 2 years?
And should have been probably closer to 10 than what the number ended up being. Look, Sam Darnold outplayed him, so there's no other way around
Brock
it.
Purdy was the one seeing ghosts is what they're saying on the streets?
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say
San Jose Jazz fan.
He definitely didn't see linebackers cutting in on in-routes, on breaking in-routes.
Sam Darnold saw no ghosts yesterday. He saw Jay Jenner running down the field.
That was the best pocket presence I've noticed from Sam Darnold ever. Just watching him climb up in the pocket, and he threw a couple of rifle throws. There were so many good third down plays. Like, for example, before halftime, you were talking about before halftime that drive. There was a 3rd and 13.
3rd and 13 to Justin Jefferson for 16 yards.
How is Justin Jefferson unguarded on 3rd and 13? Before the end of half, when you have 2 timeouts in your back pocket, use one of them. Hey, guys, it's 3rd and 13. We can't give up a field goal here. Like this goes back to allocation of timeouts. It's not for delay of games. It's not for that. It is for situational timeouts to get everyone on the same page so that we run a good play out of this timeout, or it's to stop the clock.
Yeah.
If I watch another team burn a second half, which the Niners did, a second half timeout, to avoid a delay of game, that is the dumbest thing you could do. Treat it like a false start. It's mind-boggling that people getting paid $15 to $20 million can't recognize this.
Well, what I did recognize was a pass rush just being non-existent for the most part. Collins had some moments. Leonard Floyd was quiet. These tackles from Minnesota, we actually touched on it last week, late in the week. Nobody talked about it because Christian Darrisaw got the big money. He's now top 5 when it comes to paid offensive tackles here. But these 2 tackles, and their offensive line, Christian Darrisaw is a left tackle. Brian O'Neill is a right tackle. They got Garrett Bradbury inside, Blake Brando inside, Ed Ingram inside. They did a hell of a job yesterday stymieing the 49ers front 4. And I'm not sure if you blitz more. I'm not sure if that's the answer. Putting your secondary in situations where they're in one-on-one coverage. I don't know if you want to do that. If you want to start running cover 0 blitzes like Minnesota did yesterday. But this front 4 is on I need more from them.
On the play that Fred Warner punched the ball out on Aaron Jones, they sent a free release rusher from the edge, and it was Deommodore Lenoir from the slot, right?
Yep.
Kevin O'Connell saw that coming a mile away and was like, oh, we have a perfectly dialed up screen to the other side of the field. And Aaron Jones, let's call it what it is. We got lucky that he got the ball punched out. It should have been a touchdown. At worst, they got the ball to 2.
Yeah, it was going to be
Fred Warner saved us from losing by double digits.
Yeah, it was going to be 27 to 17. 27 to 17.
I mean, Kevin O'Connell was brilliant. That third down on that final drive where he had the rub route where the 2 receivers were right up on top of each other in a bunch formation, and it was a simple out, and both of our cornerbacks didn't do a great job of communicating. There were about 4 different instances where he had wide open guys down the field, and he did such a really good job schematically, design-wise, to set up the Niners to where there was confusion.
Yep.
I'm like, where are plays like that?
Yeah, well, Flores was better than Shanahan. Again, 2 years in a row, the Niners go up to Minnesota, score 17. All right, let's get to the lines here. We've got a lot of people here on hold. Let's start off with Tony in San Francisco. Then we'll get to Ferrucci. We got a lot of people. I'm going to get everybody in here.